All right, guys, welcome to Friday. We made it. Now we're going to talk about 4.3. And now we're also going to talk about why I like math. Yesterday, very confusing, 4.2. Probably sitting there going, I didn't get any of it. This is why I like math, because today we're going to put another piece of the puzzle in, and it's going to start to become clearer. You cannot give up in math. You got to stick to it. You have to persevere. Because if you keep going, you'll eventually get it. Because today is going to be another piece in the puzzle. You walked out of here yesterday going, I don't get it. And he wasn't here to teach us, so I don't have to. Okay. If that's the way you want to run your life, you go right ahead. You give up. That's fine with me. However, those of you who didn't give up, who went home and watched the video again and stuck to it and still frustrated, today things are going to get a little bit clearer. We're going to wash away some of the mud off of this picture, okay? So here we go. We are going to solve this again. Look at this. We're going to solve absolute values again. So first thing we got to do is get rid of the 7. So we crash out our 7s. The absolute value of x equals, what's 22 minus 7? That's right, 15. Good job. So then I have x equals 15 and x equals negative 15. I didn't have anything with my x there. See how this is now becoming important? Nothing with my x. And yesterday we learned that anything with my x lies. There's nothing with my x here. The pieces start to fall in place. The problem is some of you give up. And that's why the pieces never fell into place. So you can give up. I'll be teaching this again next semester. I'll be happy to see you and teach you the same stuff next semester. It'll be my boring self in my boring room with my same old tired, boring jokes. Dad jokes, I call them. That's what my kids tell me. I have dad jokes. I said, dads will be lucky to have my jokes. And yeah, I'm talking and just solving. Here we go. All right, so now 10x equals 30. And 10x equals negative 30. So now I know x equals 3 and x equals negative 3. Bada boom, bada bing. So now we're going to explain the difference. We talked about this yesterday. We're going to get another clear picture of graphing absolute values. So I'm going to graph this one right here in red. This is the parent function. It's just the absolute value of x. That means I put a vertex right here at 0, 0, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. I make my v, yada, yada, yada. There it is, baby. This one, however, has a negative 3. That's not with my x. So I have to move down 3. Remember, the number outside moves us up or down, and it tells the truth. The number with the x moves us right or left, and it lies. So I go down 3. There's my vertex. Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. There are my 2 different graphs. What's the difference? Well, the difference is, and now we called both of these y. However, as you see, we're going to start calling this like f of x, and this one's going to be g of x. So I'll put that in here, because now it makes it easy for me. G of x is shifted down 3. That's what it is. That's what you say. G of x is shifted down 3. So let's look at number 2. Let's graph f of x. That's an easy one. Here is the old f of x. Bam. That one's in blue. Uh-oh. Now I'm going to multiply that by 2. So what do you think that's going to do for me? Okay. Well, let's make an x. If we don't know, we're going to make an xy table. I'm going to make x 0, 1, and 2. When x is 0, y is 0. So I guess we're going to start at 0, 0, right with it. But now watch what happens. When x is 1, y is 2. Because I'm multiplying it by 2. When x is 2, y is 4. So my vertex is still right here at 0, 0, but now I go to 1, 2, 4. So what's happening? I'm not going up 1 over 1. I'm going up 2 over 1. So now I can go up. And what happened to g of x? G of x got skinnier. G of x got stretched. G of x got taller. You can say it any way you want. G of x is skinny and stretched. G of x is like me, skinny. All right? So if you don't know what is happening, make an XY table. Okay, look. What's the difference? I'm going to just call this G of x, and I'm going to call this f of x so we can talk about it. F of x, what does that negative sign do? That's right, I heard it. F of x is inverted. If you want to graph it, you can go right ahead. Okay, over to number 4. F of x is our parent function. Right here, to here, to here, bam, bam. Now, g of x is getting, I'm going to label this f of x. Now, g of x is getting serious. Remember, any number with the x lies. So it's not going to go 6 to the right, it's going to go to the left. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, down 2. So now my vertex for g of x is right there. Then we're going to go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So what's the difference? G of x is shifted down 2 and left 6. G of x is shifted down 2 over left 6. Now, I didn't need to graph that. I can tell right here this is going to be shifted left because it lies, and down. Left 6, down 2. So let's see if we can do the next one like that. Oh boy, 2/3. What's going to happen here? All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell you to do an XY table. I know my parent function is right here. I'm going to make this one f of x, and this is going to be g of x. I know my parent function is right here. And now I want you to make an XY table. Go ahead and pause the video, please. Make an XY table. Fill in your x values of 0, 1, and 2, and see what happens. See what happens. So you're just going to multiply 0 by 2/3. That's 0. So you're still going to be at 0, 0. Why am I telling you to do it, but I'm doing it? I don't know. So what happens when I multiply 1 times 2/3? 1 times... Oh boy. 1 times 2/3 is 2/3, or 0.6. So 1 is going to be at 0.6. So now, when I do this one, 1 is right here at 0.6. It's not going to go up. It's not going to go up 1 over 1. Okay? So finish the XY table, if you need to, and finish filling that out, and then explain that. All right? Remember, x's move right and left, and they lie. If the number with the x is negative, you move right. If it's positive, you move left. See how we're getting some clarification today? That's why I kind of just crammed, just hauled through yesterday's lesson. So the number is with the x, and you move. Am I going to move to the right or the left? What's -2, which is left, so I'm going to move right 2. This one's +2, which means I'm going to move left 2. The numbers outside tell the truth, and they move up and down. So this is going to be up 2. That's going to be down 2. You guys have to memorize that. That makes this so easy if you just know those rules. Explain the difference. We're not even going to graph it now. So what's the difference? I'm going to call this one f of x, and this is going to be g of x. Well, the difference is f of x is shifted, forgot my t, down, oops, sorry, that's wrong. That's not outside, that's with my x. So it's not going to move left, it's going to move shifted right 3. Now, g of x, what's the difference between g of x? It's this right here. G of x is flipped. I will accept flipped. G of x is flipped. So now you're going to have to come up with the differences, all right? I've given them to you. You've got to come up with the differences. So now guess what? Given the graph of f of x, graph f of x plus 5 and label it g of x. This right here is f of x. This graph is f of x. But what does it want me to do? It wants me to shift it up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war. And then I just make my v. There we go. And I label it g of x. And then I answer the questions. Write the equation. Oh boy. Uh-oh. Now I got to write equations. That's tough. Well, what's my parent function equation? Well, my parent function equation is y equals the absolute value of x. So I'm going to go g of x, because that's what they told me to label it. G of x equals, so the absolute value of x, and how many did I move? I moved 1, 2, 3, 4 from the parent function. Remember, your parent function is right here. So I got to move to the right, which means I have to make this negative 4. And then I have to move up. How many do I have to move up? I have to move up 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got to come plus 4. Because I got to move up now from here. Because I'm basing it from the parent function. That's how I write them. You might write it differently, but I go back to the parent function where my vertex is at 0, 0. And then I write it to move my vertex to where it's supposed to be now, which is right there. Given the function below, f of x, shift f of x down 3. We're going to do that first. 1, 2, 3. So now, f of x is shifted down 3, and to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now our vertex has been shifted down 3, right 4. Be sure to graph the new function and label it g of x. So this one is now g of x, and now I have to make my lines. And now I need to write the equation. Well, this is super simple. G of x equals the absolute value of x. I need to move it over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to put negative 5 because I have to move it right 5. Remember, we're dealing with opposites. And plus 1 because I have to move it up 1. This is memorization. Memorization. All right. Find the value of k. Well, f of x and g of x, they're the same. Look here. They're the same. Except what happened to g of x? G of x is shifted up 1. This goes back to what we were doing before. So g of x, right here is g of x. G of x is the absolute value of x minus 3 plus 1 equals f of x, which is x minus 3, but not plus 1. So what does k equal? Find the value of k if g of x equals f of x. So that means g of x is right here, right? G of x equals f of x. To make these equal, what do I have to do? I have to subtract 1. So k equals negative 1. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not really going to be a stickler on this. If you put plus 1, I'll be fine with it. Okay? And we've already done this. We've grafted this before. We've talked about k. Okay, so you got to figure these out. Now, given f of x equals x minus 5 plus 3, which graph represents f of x minus 4? So, f of x is right here. This is f of x. And then I need to minus 4 from this. So this puts me, 3 minus 4 is negative 1. So this puts me at negative 1. That's outside, so that moves it up and down. Right here is negative 1. Right here. So that's it. All right? See this right here? That means it's inverted. So it's either going to be A or C. You figure out which one it is. All right, guys. Again, you're going to have homework to do with this too. I'll be back Monday. I'm looking forward to it. Not really. All right. Love you guys. Have a good weekend. Oh, bye-bye.